Namaskar. You remember we studied in one of the lectures 7 tattvas, 7 fundamental truths, and these were Jiv, Ajiv, Samar, Bandh, Nirjara, Moksha. So the ultimate goal of life is moksha. How do you start that journey? How do you reach that state? So we are going to study today, how do you begin this journey? We begin the journey with 3 jewels, or Ratnatraya as we call. And it's not only Jain philosophy, almost all philosophies of Indian origin teaches us to achieve a state of perfect bliss. So this is nothing new in Jainism, but Jainism has a different method of approach to reach the state of moksha. We begin with the concept of what we call as a Samyak Darshan, Samyak Gyan and Samyak Charitra. These refer to our beliefs, our knowledge and our conduct. Samyak Darshan means right belief, Samyak Gyan means right knowledge, and Samyak Charitra means right conduct. So this is the beginning of journey to the ultimate objective of achieving the state of moksha or salvation. And we talked of Samar, Nirjara, Moksha, in the 7 tattvas. These are possible only when you have Samyak Darshan, Samyak Gyan and Samyak Charitra. So these 3 are prerequisite to achieve what we call as a Samar, Nirjara and Moksha. What is right faith? The right faith here, Samyak Darshan is right faith, and this is given the first place in the 3 things which we had just now talked. First Samyak Darshan, then Samyak Gyan. Why? Why Darshan is placed before Gyan? This is for the reason that your belief must be right. You must have the right belief first, and after only that you try to attain or try to achieve knowledge, Gyan. Your belief must be right in the first place. And the right belief is that what is your existence? You are a pure soul. You are a soul and not a body. This is the right belief. Unless you differentiate between soul and body, your belief cannot be right. So you have to distinguish between and say that body is not mine. Body is something, a foreign material as far as soul is concerned. Of course it is there and it is present, and we are taking help of the body to carry out all our activities. But the fact remains that body is very different from soul, and the soul is not owner of the body in the true sense. So all association with the body are not association with the soul, and all these association with the body are temporary. As the body goes, the association also goes. So this is a fundamental belief, which is essential to proceed further. Without this belief, you cannot proceed on the path of salvation. And then the person must have right knowledge. Once you have right belief, then you must understand yourself, you must understand the world, and understand the difference between yourself and the world. This is right knowledge. So the right knowledge comes after right belief. You must not distinguish between soul and non-self, the body and the other material. Then he must possess the right conduct, having known what is right belief and what is right knowledge. you must put these in practice. Unless you practice your knowledge, your belief, you make no progress. So right conduct is essential. So right conduct is, in fact, is the essence of the thing, but in order to have the right conduct, you must have a right belief and you must have the right knowledge. And if you proceed on this path, beginning with this, proceed with the path on Savar and Nirjara, and then go to moksha, and by that way you are able to eliminate the karmas. And if you eliminate the Gatya karma first, as I told you in the last class also, you reach a state of omniscience, or known as Arihant or a Kevali. And when you eliminate all the karmas, Gatya and Agatya, then you achieve the state of Siddha, or what is known as moksha. So this gives an introduction of the three things which we are going to study today. Now we study them in little detail. What is Samyak Darshan? So according to the technical definition of Samyak Darshan is belief in 7 tattvas, that you believe that the soul exists, Ajiva exists, Bandha exists, Samvara exists, Nirjara exists, Moksha exists, and so on. So you believe in these 7 tattvas, and also believe in punya and pap. There are good activities and bad activities. That is the first thing to start with. So that is the belief in truth. This is the fact of life. The belief, how do you know that you believe these or not, and how do you know a person believes, has a Samyak Darshan or not, whether he believes in 7 tattvas or not? There is no way to find out. It's only that we can test ourselves, provided you satisfy certain conditions. And these conditions we will now study. So it is said that a person has a firm belief if he believes in the organs of faith. There are 8 of these. So there are 8 organs of faith, or 8 ang, what we call as in technical terms. And then you do not have 8 kinds of pride, and we'll discuss these things. So the 8 organs of faith, or 8 angas, are the first one, free from doubt about the truth of the teachings of the Tirthankara. That you should not have doubt in the 7 tattvas. You should not have doubt in punya and pap. You must firmly believe that these are true, and then only you can proceed. Unless you have a firm beliefs in the very fundamentals, you can't proceed further. At this point, I like to tell you that all these things which we are talking about, Samyak Darshan, Samyak Gyan, and Samyak Charitra, have been defined and described with the aim to achieve moksha or salvation. So they are defined or described in a spiritual context. You must be very clear about it. All the 3 things are defined in a spiritual context. But normally, when we talk of our daily life or professional life, the meaning is not very relevant many times. So one might think, or one might say that, look here, it is okay, if you have these 3 things, but how do you use these concepts in my own personal life or my professional life? This is not very clearly mentioned in Jain text, but I'll try to explain or describe ways how these concepts can be useful in your personal life. So this first thing, that you are free of doubt as far as the 7 tattvas are concerned. This can be interpreted in your personal life as you believe in the authority, and you don't have a doubt about what the authority tells you. That is the first thing. The authority could be any authorized body like government, or even the head of your organization or head of your institutions. So you must have a belief, in what he says and what he asks you to do. That is the first thing. Then no liking for worldly enjoyment. The person who is desirous of moksha, has to forget about the worldly enjoyment, So you don't have the liking for these things, And in practical life, your professional life, it would mean that you have a goal-oriented approach in life. You must fix your goal and have the goal-oriented activities in your life, So you fix your goal in your professional life. No love for body. Because body is something different, Body actually makes you to go for enjoyment and things like this. So body, of course, is helpful for us to observe these practices and observe in following religion and so many things. But body, in fact, is a hindrance in the path of moksha. Hindrance in the sense that body has to be dispensed with before you go to moksha. So you then say, after all, if I had to leave my body, why love my body? You love your soul. So no love for body. And in professional life, it will mean that the body comforts has no attraction for you. When you are engaged in a professional life and you are seriously taking that particular life, then you have to forget your body comforts. You have to forego your body comforts in order to achieve something in your professional life. Freedom from superstitions. You don't believe in false faith. This is of course necessary, because if you have to believe in the right faith, you don't have to believe in the wrong faith. So superstitions must be given up. And professional life means that you don't believe in false theories. You believe in what is prescribed by your authority and nothing else. Then maintain spiritual excellence and protect the path. This is necessary, that all the time you are aware and conscious of your soul, and you try to have an excellence in that direction. Upgohan. In a professional life, it will maintain your full attention towards the chosen path. You should be attentive and pay full attention to that. Then the next one is rehabilitating others in the path of mukti, or path of salvation. And in professional life, it will mean encourage others to follow this path which you are following, and if you find it is good, you can also encourage other people to do the same. And next one is respecting and devotion to spiritually advanced persons and co-religionists. So those who are advanced in this path, you are a beginner, so those who are advanced on this path, like Muni and Acharya and other saints, you must respect them, give them proper place. And this is good, this of course is good for you. And in professional life, it will mean that you must respect your seniors, you must respect your superiors and other co-workers who are working with you, and have compassion and affection towards all the living beings. This is a requirement. You must have that kind of sensitivity. Then the last one is weaning people from wrong practices and beliefs. Those who are going in wrong directions, please try to bring them to the right one. This is also a service to mankind. And in professional life, it means vouch for good profession, or vouch for goodness your own profession. Why your profession is good, or why it is not good. If it is not good, you should not be there, in fact. So we have described the 8 angas in Samyak Darshan. The next is that you should be free from 8 kinds of pride. Ego is the biggest enemy of spiritual progress. So you must be free from these 8 kinds of pride, and these have been spelled out here. The pride of family. Don't say that I get such a reputed family or such a wealthy family. This has no meaning in a spiritual path. Pride of contacts and connections. You say, okay, I know such and such big person, I know such and such big authority, and I can do this and that and all that. That has no meaning in a spiritual path. Pride of one's own strength. You are a strong people, you are an intelligent person, or you have many kind of skills and you are proud of them. Don't be that. So you should not be proud of your own strength which you have. Pride of body. Don't say that I have a good body, I have a handsome body, I am a beautiful person. No, because body has no meaning in spiritual path. Pride of knowledge. You say that, oh, I am a great scholar. I know all the scriptures, I know such and such theories, I know such and such literature in scientific way or any other way, philosophical way or so on. This pride is also wrong. Any kind of ego is an obstruction to the spiritual progress. Pride of wealth. Don't be proud of. If you are a wealthy person, don't be proud of it. Because the wealth is something temporary. Pride of authority. You are a big boss, or you are a big. You hold a big position in government or other organization, but don't be proud of that authority. That is all temporary. Pride of penance. That also happens sometimes. A person who is doing lot of penance, observing austerities and doing meditation, and he achieved something out of it, and then he is proud of it. Look here, oh, I can do this, I can have this kind of achievement and so on. Don't be proud of that. That also will go. So a Samyak-darshi person must be free of these prouds, must have compassion towards all living beings, as I said. This is the first thing. Then we study what is known as Samyak Gyan. We studied about theory of knowledge in one of the lectures, and there we saw that the Gyan is of 5 types. Good, Su Gyan, you say, Mati Gyan, Shrut Gyan, Avdhi Gyan, Manah Pariya Gyan, and Keval Gyan. Then of course there are Ku Gyans which we don't mention here. So that there are forms of knowledge. And what is right knowledge? You have knowledge, okay, but what is right knowledge? So the right knowledge comprehends the real nature of the object. That is very important. If you get a false knowledge, if you know the object in a false way, that knowledge is not helpful. So you must know the real nature of the object. For example, you must know the real nature of the soul. You must know the real nature of the body and make a distinction between these two. So the right knowledge is essential, and it comes after right belief. The real nature of our own existence, like soul, as I said, you must understand and you must have the full knowledge of that. Partial, excessive and perverted and doubtful comprehensions is wrong knowledge. So wrong knowledge is defined here. What is right knowledge and what is wrong knowledge? So wrong knowledge is a partial knowledge. You know only part of it. You don't know the full. You don't have the complete knowledge of the object. Then your knowledge is not right. You have excessive knowledge. You boast. Then I know something more than that. No, that's not true. Perverted, which is not true, which is false. Or doubtful. You know something, but you still have doubts. You are not perfectly clear about the fundamentals or things. So that knowledge then will be called a wrong knowledge, and you can apply it to your soul. Knowledge is right when it does not suffer from wrong knowledge. So the definition has been made here that if you have a wrong knowledge, you cannot have right knowledge. Though the two things will not go together. So either you have right knowledge or you have wrong knowledge. And if you have a wrong knowledge, you don't have right knowledge. Gyan is the inherent attribute of the soul. That we know. The Gyan is the attribute of the soul, and Gyan is not the attribute of body. And soul is the knower. So all knowledge which we are talking, is because of the ability of the soul to know. Otherwise, you cannot derive any knowledge. You cannot obtain any knowledge. So the knowledge is obtained via the media of Pudgal matter, that is senses and mind, is imperfect. That I told you. Mati Gyan, Shrut Gyan. They are indirect knowledge, That is, we obtain Mati Gyan and Shruti Gyan with the help of senses and mind, and therefore they are imperfect, So it's only the direct knowledge that is perfect. In a professional life, how do you interpret this? A knowledge that is verified and validated should be regarded as right, So you learn so many things, But remember, unless what you know is verified, what you know is validated, it cannot be considered as right, So that condition should be used in a personal professional life. The study of scriptures and assimilation of the principles help in acquiring right knowledge. The scriptures will always help you to have a right knowledge and to discard the wrong knowledge, both ethical and spiritual. In professional life, how do you do it? Study of relevant literature and understanding the principles and the formulations behind these, So you must clearly understand what you read, and you must clearly know how the principles work, how the principles have been formulated, how they should be used. So this is about Samyak Gyan. Then we talk about Samyak Charitra, what is the right conduct. And as I told you, the prerequisite to right conduct is right faith and right knowledge. You must know that. And in fact, the very purpose of right faith and right knowledge is to have the right conduct. The right conduct is the main essence of the whole thing. So the right conduct is essential for self-realization or liberation. Without that, you cannot proceed, or for success of life for that matter, So in your own personal or professional life also, your conduct must be right in that sense, The right conduct requires observance of austerities, sadhana, tapa, and so on. This, of course, we are going to talk later on, but here it is suffice to say that it is essential. It doesn't come in an easy way, remember, You have to exert yourself in order that your conduct is right. So simple living, high thinking is one way to understand, that this kind of living will promote right conduct. And the right conduct would require checking on external activities of body, mind, and speech, because these are the activities which attract karma and bind karma. So you must check on these activities, because now you are proceeding on a path of Savar and Nirjara. So that is very essential. These activities are the cause of distraction of mind, so they must be checked. Then meditation and contemplation on the true nature of the soul, So you now shift your attention from outside world to inner world, to your soul, and meditate and contemplate on the nature of the soul. Right conduct has two categories. One is called Sakal Samyak Charitra, another called Vikal Samyak Charitra. Sakal Samyak Charitra is followed by Munis. We are not able to follow that conduct, with that rigorously, and therefore there are certain relaxations. For we householders, there are certain relaxations, but there are no relaxations for Munis and saints and so on. So they observe what is known as Sakal Samyak Charitra. So their rules of conduct are little more rigorous, and they follow. And these are known as the Mahavratas, about we are going to talk little later. And then we householders, as I told you, observe these laws in a little relaxed form called Anuvratas. That also we are going to talk in the next lecture. What are Anuvratas? Of course, I gave an idea in the very first lecture, but we will discuss them in detail in the next lecture. These Anuvratas are for householders. So one has to observe these vratas, whether Mahavratas or Anuvratas, in order that our conduct becomes right. This is very important. Unless you check your activities, unless you bind ourselves to certain ideals, we cannot proceed further. So Besides following these rules, there are certain other things which are prescribed for individuals or householders, and that also we are going to discuss. For example, a person must be free from vices, in order to have a good conduct, because the good conduct and the vices, cannot go together. So you must be free from vices, in order that you follow or observe the Anuvratas or Mahavratas. And so we shall talk about the rules, the vratas, in the next lecture. So I have described here what is known as Samyak Cha, Samyak Darshan, Samyak Gyan and Samyak Charit. And remember, this is the beginning of your spiritual journey. This is not the end of journey. This is the beginning of the journey. You begin from here, then proceed further and reach the state of salvation. Thank you.